because in the English, really trying to get doing it the right way. So
I appreciate you notice.
I see the effort. I printed it at my office and had the same thing. So
we're still working on it.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. It's recording. Can you hear us, John? Okay.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. All right.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, or yeah, whichever is the easiest. We have a printed copy. Everybody does.
Yeah, I'll share my screen, and if I freeze, Erin will be there shortly, and she can continue.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make you louder.
Switch to the TV, so you'll see the Samsung.
There we go. All right.
All right.
Test it.
Okay. Let's see if we can hear you better, John.
Okay. Is this better?
Yeah.
Good.
Scared me.
I didn't use the remote.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello. Thank you all. I'm John Shuffle, Vice President, Director of Design here at API. Erin, who'll be showing up momentarily, is a senior designer. We've been working jointly on the wayfinding project. The first part, it was what they call the wayfinding study. And I don't know if you all were involved during that part, but I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what we did in those two phases and talk about what we're doing in the restart of the continuation of the program. And then talk through, we do have a couple specific items we'd like to discuss with you. So the first part was done in 3 phases. We had the first was an analysis, discovery analysis, where we did a lot of meetings, had a kickoff meeting with the CRA team and established goals and objectives. We did an inventory of existing signs throughout downtown. I don't think there are any existing signs in your CRA, but we did a complete inventory of those signs. We did an analysis of we looked at vehicular and pedestrian and parking signs, plus the Riverwalk. And then we studied circulation patterns throughout downtown and developed a navigation strategy that was specific to Tampa. Which is different from some other cities where you are directing people to the destination. For at least the most of downtown Tampa, we'd be directing to the public parking, and then from the public parking, you'd be directing to the destinations. Central Park is slightly different than that because currently there isn't, that we're aware of, there isn't city-owned public parking in your CRA. From there, we developed, this was the programming phase where we had various meetings with ADA, mobility, the Riverwalk, the Downtown Partnership, THEA, et cetera. We developed navigational strategies for the vehicular, parking, and pedestrian. We looked specifically at, since getting people to the garages and getting them from the garage to their destination via whether by foot or bike or other micromobility, that was an important thing. So we looked at each of the 5 public parking garages and what the typical messages would be depending on which exit you're coming from. We also then developed a destination criteria for inclusion on signs, and then developed the names, the naming for each of the destinations. There are certain things that we have to follow, FDOT and US codes, such as no more than 4 destinations per sign, no more than two lines per destination, and there's a minimum size of 4-inch cap height. So, and a certain typeface that we have to use. So everything fits within that. And then the third phase was concept design. where we started looking at certain vehicular paths and developing about the messages for those various. One second, please. Sorry about that. I'm in an open office, so we hear everything. So in addition to those developing those messages, we also developed probably 5 different concepts designs, and then 3 of them were taken to each of the CACs to get their input on the sign designs. And then the concepts were shown to the mayor. She made her selection, and the CRA board also approved that selection. And so the design you see here is what was shown. We also looked at getting ballpark pricing for each of the sign types. Separate from this project, but happening at the same time, we worked with the Tampa Downtown Partnership in developing neighborhood branding for each of the 6 of the 7 neighborhoods that make up their special services district. Water Street already has a brand identity, so they wanted brand identities that all kind of worked in unison with one another, but also worked with their partnership logo. For each, since we knew that we were also developing the wayfinding project, and that it was important that we wanted to call out the districts or neighborhoods on the signs, we developed a mark, a special mark or pattern for each of the neighborhoods that would then be incorporated onto the signs. And then a different color was assigned for each of the neighborhoods. For this, the continuation of this project, this will be 4 phases. Design development, which we're currently in. Documentation would be next. BIB coordination, and then construction administration. And I'll just give you an overview of each of those. So in the design development phase, we are refining the sign family, and I'll show you that. We're having various coordinations with key stakeholders. We're having reintroductory meetings with each of the 4 CACs. You're the first one. And then getting input. And then we're also we'll be engaging with local authorities, with FDOT and others. We'll be verifying field conditions, and then updating the sign location plan and messaging. And at the conclusion of this phase, we will be presenting in person to each of the 4 CACs. And then once we get input from the CACs, make any changes needed, and then we'll present to the CRA board. And I believe that is slated for May, if I'm not mistaken. Nick can correct me if I'm wrong. The next phase will be documentation, and this will be refining any final design refinements. We'll be coordinating with the fabricator. I mean, this will be bid out, so we'll have a fabricator that we'll be getting revised ballpark pricing from, so we can start to figure out how many signs we might reasonably be able to do within each of the CACs, since the monies that we have is all going to be proportional to the signs that we can put within each of the 4 CACs or CRAs. We'll finalize the sign location plan and message schedule, and then we'll prepare technical specifications. We have a consultant working with us, Rob Rosner, and his team will be putting together permit drawings that we'll have that all ready before the project is then bid out to fabricators, and that's the next phase. We'll prepare the bid documents and do all the coordination. We'll identify qualified sign fabricators, consider any RFIs and whatnot. And then once the fabricator has been selected, then we'll go through construction administration. And that is a probably a 3-month-long process. And we'll work with the fabricator and locating signs in the field at the time. So as I mentioned, we have progressed the design of the signage. What you're seeing now is the signs that would appear within your CRA. So there were some design options shown to the committee into how to integrate the neighborhood branding and colors into the signs. And there's Aaron. That's Aaron Conley.
Hi, everybody.
And so the version that we've gone with is the partnership is using the word neighborhood versus district. And so the team has adopted that same naming system so that we have uniformity with them. This is just showing 3 of the sign types that would appear in your neighborhood. There'd be what we call a district identity sign. So this would be a key arrival points that would tell people that you have arrived in Central Park. And there's a tagline of arts, dining, shops, which is that tagline would be uniform across all of downtown. There would be vehicular directional signs. And so this is showing what one of the typical or an example message for one of the locations in your neighborhood. We have the subtle patterning on the front, and then on the back, the patterning is a bit more vibrant, the back side of the signs. This is showing a sign mounted to an existing pole. Where possible, we will try to mount to existing poles because that is a far lesser cost than if we have to go in with a new pole. More than half the cost of a sign that's on a new pole is in the footer and the installation and foundation and all that. So, so if needed, it would be on a new pole, but existing poles. And then down here at the bottom, I'll zoom in, would be kind of a standard pedestrian directional sign. That would be double-sided. It would have branding on the side. And then just to show you, I'll zoom in just a couple other neighborhoods so you see how this starts to take shape across the downtown. For the other CRAs, we do have parking identity signs that would include the destinations that would be at that garage. So this is the River Arts District, and then Channel District, because district is part of their name. We're not going to say Channel District neighborhood, it's just Channel District. And then we had developed again, as I mentioned, a criteria for destinations that would be included. What is shown in black are essentially the destinations that are currently on wayfinding signs that are downtown. What's shown in blue are new names or new destinations. And then this pink is where we're doing a study with Benchmark International Arena. We actually just had a call with them and decided on how we're going to designate them. These are the destinations that we've identified that occur in Central Park, the neighborhood itself, Meachin Urban Farm, Tampa's Black History Museum, which we know is opening next year, Perry Harvey Park, St. Peter Claver Catholic Church, and the Pro Bowl Skate Park. Additionally, we think that there might be some destinations that we would want to include on pedestrian directional signs. And that that is a question for you. For instance, do we want to direct to Encore? We typically don't direct to businesses, like say a restaurant or a retail shop. But unless there is, really, I can't think of an example downtown of any sort of restaurant or shop that we would direct to. So it just isn't typical even on pedestrian signs. So that's some input that we want from you is what if any other destinations we'd want to include on pedestrian directional signs, and confirmation that we do have all the destinations that we'd want to include on vehicular directional signs. And then we have another question for you. This map shows in the light green is the CRA boundary for Central Park, and it goes slightly above this off the page. What is shown in the purple outline is what the Tampa Downtown Partnership is defining as Central Park. And my guess, the reason that they didn't just do this section that falls within their special services district is because they wanted you to have a bigger presence throughout downtown. This is going to be a question for the downtown core. So there are going to be some signs that fall within this area that's outside of your CRA, that's in the downtown core, but it's in the area that the partnership is designated as Central Park. Any signs in this area will be paid, will come from the funding from the downtown core. What we're going to be asking the downtown core is if they would be fine with those signs having the Central Park branding on them. But first, I wanted to ask you if you are fine with that, or if you just want to stick with whatever's within your CRA boundary. And that is the last page. So I think we can open it up for questions, discussion.
So we can address the first question about identified destinations.
This is regarding the food.
Yeah, they've properly identified all the correct ones, or there are some that maybe are.
The only one that I was thinking is, I don't know if the library, the Robert Saunders Library, specifically because it's one of only 2 African-American history libraries in the entire state of Florida. And that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't know. And whenever I mention that, people are like, oh my God, seriously? And it has that whole annex that's specific to that. We're lucky to have that, you know what I mean? Here.
Libraries are always identified.
Yes.
Signage.
So I think that's an important one to put in there to include.
I would agree.
Did you hear that, Don? The Robert Saunders Library?
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback, but I heard library, and so will the library be added to the vehicular and pedestrian signs?
And yeah, and if you could find a way to specifically note that the portion of it is specific to, it's the archaeological, like it's a whole, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's got a whole wing right there. Is where Chris used to work. That's all, some amazing books and literature and stuff, but like I said, we're one of only 2 libraries in the entire state that have that. So I think that's a destination.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's important. And then, so in the future, like because like our CRA boundaries, a lot of it is vacant land. Obviously, you see that there's a lot that's being built on it, and I think there's still a lot more to be built on it. So in the future, I think we're probably going to be approaching the question you're asking, but I don't know right now at this moment we will be, just because we haven't had things finalized. So in the future, is that an option? And if so, how would we go about that? Is there, would we reach out to, a particular person, and who would approve? I know you said you didn't want to do restaurants and stuff, and I think an example he was maybe trying to think would be like the Columbia in Ybor, because it's such a historic landmark. It's a restaurant. We don't have anything like that, but if there was something that was going to be added within our boundaries, how would we go about that in the future?
So we are designing the program, the vehicular signs, to have these subtle blue lines that will allow for, instead of having to replace the entire panel, this needs to be reflective vinyl per FDOT requirements. So instead of having to replace the whole panel, you could do a patch, just depending on the messages that are already on there. So yeah, we currently are not showing that for pedestrian signs. You know, destinations, we could look at adding that. We also have done on the pedestrian signs, we've added in the terminology shops and dining to kind of let people know that there are other things this like straight ahead or to the left, and that tends to help cover businesses that might come and go.
Quick question, page 13, I just don't know if I misheard. Are these destinations on here just the destinations that would be identified in Central Park, or are these destinations, because I know some of them are throughout the whole city?
No, this page shows all the destinations for the entire project, and then page 14 shows the destinations that are just for Central Park.
I guess I would just had a question why, I feel like there's several churches downtown, so I was curious why there would only be one added if we were doing St. Peter Claver.
I think because of the historic significance of St. Peter Claver. So this isn't the first church, African American church in the St. Louis area.
I
I think it's got a
It
historical.
definitely has a lot of good history on there, and I think that it is important just because of that history.
The school would be, I would
Correct.
think, very important.
Yeah, I think the school.
Because St. Peter Claver
Correct.
actually started the school
Yes, I think.
before
Yes,
the church.
I believe so.
So it would it be school or is it a high school or?
There's other schools on there, so I feel like it would almost align, where I see if you had the church, I just pictured them this coming live and then other
Same
churches
car line.
approaching and trying to get on. And then they have kind of a basis, because
So
there's.
the school is just right behind us here. The school is at the corner of Governor and Scott.
Governors, okay.
It's the red brick, it's been there for a long time. Actually, it was built a long time ago on wood. It got burned down, and then it was rebuilt in brick,
Okay.
so it didn't get burned down. But it's been there for over 100 years now in continuous operation.
Okay.
So it's, I would say it's historically important to our culture here.
Okay.
I had a question too. So on page 3 under destinations, we have Encore. And then on page 13 under neighborhoods, we have Central Park, but Encore is not on destination. So I think that gets a little confusing.
Okay, so page 3 was showing, that was back in way back in the very beginning when we were doing our analysis. And that's
Okay.
when this CRA was called our Encore. And then the name changed to Central Park. Or well, there was some confusion as to whether it would be called Encore or Central Park. And then it was determined Central Park.
Okay.
So Encore, we thought would be a destination for pedestrian signs, but not for vehicular. But it's up to you if you feel that they should be listed on vehicular directional signs.
I just wanted to make sure that, because I see there was a lot more on the Central Park. I didn't understand that the phase, I'm so sorry. Page 3 was like phase 1, so that's kind of phased out. I think you're good
Yeah.
personally. Everybody
Okay.
obviously is doing that. But I think that the Central Park aspect of it has more history to it. And I know that, they had spoken when the public housing was demolished, that they had spoken to a lot of residents that were kind of wanting to, I don't know, rebrand, if that's the right term, into Encore. But again, that's where that kind of gets a little ambiguous and confusing. So I just want to make sure that whichever one we go with, I think Central Park is going to be, personally, from what I've experienced and talking with folks, that's going to be the best.
I would totally agree that as a neighborhood, Central Park makes the most sense, because like we talked about before, it totally encompasses more than just the Encore.
Yes.
I think the question would be, is it destination within that to directly to this subset of Central Park almost. And that's something they kind of talk about, like not as a neighborhood, but in there. I don't know what the right answer is.
Personally, I think that, we've discussed it in the past where our CRA is the donut hole. Everybody knows Tampa Heights, they know Ybor, they know downtown, they know Channel Site. So anything to get more attention to that and really get that name kind of zoned in on there, I think is going to be beneficial. Because too often, and I can already kind of sense people are going to start calling Gasworks. It's going to kind of spread in. We're going to Gasworks when it's kind of in our boundaries. Oh no, we're going to go across the street to downtown. They skip over the entire fact that they were within any of the boundaries and we have our CRA in. So I think I personally think that's important.
Yeah, I see the Gasworks there, and that's in Center Park, right? And then Encore is kind of the same, where it's a full development, mixed use,
Right.
different reasons. So it's like kind of there, like if you do one, would you do the other? You know what I'm kind of getting at? If we do Gasworks, do we then do Encore, or do we not do either?
And what do we consider Encore's boundaries? What boundaries is Encore? And how does it have definitive?
Yeah, it would be Nebraska on the east, it would be Perry Harvey Park on the west.
Okay.
Scott to the north.
Okay.
And Cass to the south.
Okay. Gotcha. And these signs are only within the CRA boundaries?
Well, that's the question I have. So we would be directing, there might be signs in a different CRA that is directing to destinations within your CRA, and we definitely would be directing to Central Park. But so there are signs that will definitely fall within your CRA. My question with regards to the branding is if there most likely are going to be signs that fall within the area that's outside of your CRA, but it's in the area that the partnership is designated Central Park. That's the purple outline.
So if we stuck with the, not the downtown partnerships definition, we wouldn't even have a CRA sign, a Central Park sign, right there at the Burger King when people get off the interstate.
Scott,
Orange?
what's that?
Yeah, orange.
Scott, yeah.
It's got orange, yeah. It's kind of orange.
So it seems like we should have something there at least, because.
High traffic.
Yeah, high traffic. It's kind of
You said off the interstate?
Yeah, the big green dot right there,
There's a
just to the
monument
left
there.
of Perry Harvey Park.
There's a big monument there on the corner.
Yeah, I mean, so not on the interstate, but yes,
Yeah.
we would definitely have an arrival sign in this area, announcing it'd be this sign type saying Central Park.
Okay, yeah, even though it's technically out of the Central Park CRA zone.
Yeah.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, I think my question, I was kind of thinking about the other series too, like I know Tampa Heights is technically Tampa Heights River Walk or Riverfront. Will there be additional signs in Tampa Heights? And, signage without, outside of that boundaries, because it still is Tampa Heights,
Yeah.
pointing in that direction, or is it, I just wonder, is it only within our CRA boundaries?
Only CRA, in order to be able to spend the money on it.
Okay,
For the CRA to spend the money on it.
Then it has to be within our boundaries.
Has to be within the CRA boundary.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I am talking with the partnership has talked with us about, they might provide some funding for signs that fall out of the CRA, but it's still the Tampa Heights, just to give them some love, especially along Franklin Street. But those discussions are being had.
Okay. What are the average costs, if you can say, on these signs?
What's that?
Like the average cost of these signs, if there was, another agency or something that wanted to do that. I mean, ballpark, you don't have to give me exact, I'm just curious.
Yeah. We'll zoom in here. So it depends on the sign type, like the district identity sign. For instance, if it the ones at Central Park. These prices were 2 years ago, so we're looking at probably a 10 to 20% increase due to inflation, tariffs, et cetera. So this was say $1,050 for the sign, $700 for installation. If it went on its own post and panel, the cost was $5,800 for fabrication and $4,900, almost $5,000 for installation. So you're looking at say a little less than 2,000 and a little over 10,000 versus a new pole versus a new pole here and then mounted to an existing pole. That's a huge difference. With vehicular directional signs, it's slightly different, but it's still like a 3 times cost, $5,000 versus $14,000. So really, that's why we do try to locate on existing poles where possible, because we want the funds to be able to stretch further so we can do more and not have to phase it out or go into multiple phases. So it really depends on the sign type and the cost and size. The pedestrian ones, so that's the other one I showed you. That's about $5,000 a sign.
And are they lit? Are there lights on these, or are they going to be placed by street lights or anything that will have them like illuminated if there's cars driving by in the evening or people walking in the evening?
For the pedestrian?
For any of them?
Well, the vehicular directional signs, it's required for them to be reflective vinyl, so headlights will catch them at night. We'll do the same thing with the district identity signs. The pedestrian signs are not regulated by FDOT, and so those, ideally, in an ideal situation, they would be located where there are streetlights.
And then who maintains them? If there's vandalism, car, something happens to them, along those lines.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Courtney, the city will maintain them, but it's not part of this CRA funding.
Yeah.
So,
We still have to work on the maintenance piece.
okay.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we will be requiring, when we go out to bid with fabricators, the selected fabricator is going to have to provide a maintenance manual and plan as part of deliverable. So a way for the city, whether it's the city or the fabricator maintaining the signs. And we've already met with the city fabricator. Their capabilities are very limited with what they can do. So this maintenance plan will be important.
Yep.
So was the ultimate question if we would prefer to have our Central Park signs in that blue area? Even though the downtown portion was gonna fund those, but they'd be branded with Central Park? That was your question, John, correct? Or did I misread that?
John, do you happen to have, this is Nick, do you happen to have the other map that shows those zones that you can put up just for a moment? I think that it tells a better story, just so that we can be a little bit more explicit in how we're going to move forward with this direction.
Yes.
What I would comment on quickly, and if this is not the place, let me know. But what I would say is when I'm looking at the destinations here between Gasworks, Armature Works, Sparkland Wharf, all kind of developments that are being pointed out within their CRAs, because they're highly activated entertainment, dining, other areas. And I think right now Encore is kind of lacking that retail aspect, but very soon, I think within the next couple of years, between the other people from Miami's development with the hotel and the bars that are coming there, and other restaurants that fill up, if we're planning ahead, and that's exactly the same kind of thing, we kind of want to direct people to Encore because it has that, I think it may be worth exploring Encore as a destination on there, or the Encore district, or however we want to think about it. Just because I'm thinking ahead, they're already planning that for Gasworks, right? Because they know that's what's going to be there. And just because we don't have it, we still would like to point people here to give those businesses, I think, the best chance.
So is this a map that you wanted, Nick?
I think it's the next page. I
Okay,
just
so
wanted
this-
to be, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think
So
I just wanted it to be really clear, essentially where the overlap was going to be between, between the neighborhood districts and the CRA district line. So you can see the overlap here and what we want the CACs to know in their recommendations is that there might be instances where you are going to be possibly paying for signage that doesn't say Central Park within these overlap lines here. So we wanted to make sure that that was clear.
What would it say then?
So for example, here, go ahead.
But I don't think that's the case, Nick. All the signs that fall within the Central Park CRA would be the only signs that Central Park CRA would pay for would be the signs that fall within your official CRA. The question of this group first, and then would have to be approved by the downtown core, is if the signs that fall within the downtown core's CRA, but are part that area that is part of what the partnership is referring to as Central Park. If it's okay for those signs to have the Central Park branding, and those signs would be funded by the downtown core.
So it'd just be more exposure for Central Park at no cost to us anyway.
Correct.
Correct.
But it might be
Correct.
restricted areas,
That you're in, but okay.
like the installation.
And I don't think that there are going to be a lot of signs that fall in this area. Our next stop is going to be locating signs. But we wanted to ask the question of you first before we even bring it up with the downtown core.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make sense if, like, on the edges of the Central Park boundary, so for example, on the south, you have Cash Street with that bicycle track there. I think that's an opportunity for, that's not in our CRA, but one that's I think everything on that sign would be destinations in Central Park. And like we said before, the Orange Street as well, kind of on the western boundary. But I think anything further away would kind of get confusing because, but it's just like in a wayfinding sense. Once you hit that grid, if you had a sign for Meacham Farm, it wouldn't be pointing directly. There's no direct path towards it, so I think that's something to take into consideration.
Well, and I think that what's important to note is with these signage, with the signage, the destinations are going to be the same regardless. It's just that color scheme, and I would call it like a header, is going to be that's what we're trying to nail down, is that relationship between the funding source and the CRA and that district line and the neighborhood branding that we're partnering with the downtown partnership.
Yeah, I think it's comment was perfect because I think that it's going to be dependent upon how far you go out, because I think a lot of this you have to look at the history of where this grid was and what was going on before Washington Junction was there. And if there's signage that's maybe within what's considered downtown, what was primarily used by the community that was here, 100 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, yes, I think definitely. But if you get too far out, I would agree, no, it's not worth jeopardizing and confusing people.
Yeah.
I mean, can you
It's
also,
gonna be that part.
Excuse me, Nick and Courtney know this, but I have a hard stop myself because I have another appointment, but Erin is going to be there and she is listening and can chime in. Do you want me to continue sharing my screen, Nick, or
No, I
sign off?
I think that I just wanted the overlap to be, I think that that's a good visual that you guys have built out, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that everybody can see that, because it was
Okay.
more color coded in the
Okay.
application. Thank you, John.
I appreciate your time and you're in good hands with Erin. So thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Mary.
Well, I was just pointing out, I think it's, is it North Tampa Street? I was just trying to find the street that has the divider on the map.
Divider for what?
The sign right there where they had it.
Oh, the partnership?
Yeah, so it looks like.
There's going to be a possibility for some confusion there. I mean, the history part makes this area Central Park.
Mhm.
However, for the last several years and going forward, businesses here, hotels, eateries, pubs, whatever, nobody's ever I wouldn't tell somebody to come to this general area and say, oh yeah, go to Old Central Park. You'd say, yeah, go down to the Encore. So, because I think that most people in Tampa refer to this in today's times, refers to it more as Encore. We don't say the Meacham Farm over there by Central Park, we say the Meacham Farm over there beside Encore.
That's what I was asking about your boundaries. So like, I think if within those boundaries that you're talking about, 100%, but if it's within the boundaries of our CRA and our CAC, I think it's Central Park. Just like Gasworks, you didn't call Gasworks.
No, I'm not making any recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm simply saying, yeah, we need to maybe put a little more thought into that on what exactly are we trying to demonstrate? Are we demonstrating something historical, or are we demonstrating something, today as people visit our community? We would say, oh yeah, the Columbia restaurant, that's down in Ybor. Okay, because that's kind of weird. So in other words, that's kind of just a thing. We've got this plan, but I mean, that's just a thing. Maybe we aren't done with the plan yet, and we need to talk about, okay, what are we trying to represent? And how do you represent an area that has two identities?
Right.
Well, East Tampa, Ybor's in East Tampa. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
the identities.
Right, but if I was new and wanted to go to Columbia restaurant, I'm thinking somebody would not say go to East Tampa, they say go to Ybor.
Because it's within the Ybor boundaries.
Right. So,
My take on this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Encore is not a city-owned property. That was a development by Encore.
Tampa Housing Authority.
Tampa Housing Authority,
So-
their partner, Bank of America, CDC.
Right. So it's not, I mean, it's its own neighborhood within the neighborhood,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah. I'm not presenting my opinion on anything. I'm just saying like, there's a balancing act there.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure I know the answer. So I'm not suggesting we make any changes. I'm just suggesting that before we, stamp something approved.
Is there gonna be another Encore type development in the Central Park?
No, Encore's Encore.
But no, I mean like in Central Park, or is there any more large enough developments that are going to come claim that sort of identity?
Gasworks is probably going to be another portion that we're going to have.
Gasworks would be across the street.
Right.
Yeah, I think that Gasworks is going to be probably really well branded as Gasworks.
I would imagine so.
It's already well branded.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think people will get it when they say go to Gasworks,
Yeah.
but with Encore, I think someone coming up from the Midwest will be, what's Encore? You know, how do I really
And
reach them at Encore? What's Encore?
And nothing against Encore by any stretch of the means, but like Encore right now is residential. That's it.
Right.
Tell me what would you drive to Encore for right now?
Well,
Today-
hopefully.
No, I know.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
Today, you drive here to
Right,
check out an apartment.
Right.
But literally in 2 years or more,
right.
and
it could even be something like Encore in Central Park, you know what I mean? Like if you really want to have that, make sure that you realize blank and blank, you know what I mean? So you're getting both of those names out there, but because I know this, we've gone through this so much in the past with the branding of Central Park and Encore and the people that call it. Like I said, that's why I even say, even when you say Encore now, people are like, huh? So like I said, the donut hole, south of Tampa Heights, west of Ybor. So we really want to try to get away from that and focus on, what this area should be branded as.
So while you guys were discussing that, I just quickly looked up what Tampa Gov has as the city limits for what was Central Ave and the Scrub from the historical significance of our area. And it looks like I kind of drew it out here, and it looks so the whole blue here is what they're presenting for our signs. But what they're saying in the Tampa presentation of the scrub is everything within what we already have, including this. So it is only a couple blocks here that is external. So if we were to propose putting the Central Park signs within what was considered Central Avenue scrub, it would encompass at least more than half of what the overlap is.
Because like if you look at the corner of, what is it, let's see, Morgan and where's 915? What's the corner of the Morgan and just across from the old cemetery, the Oakwood Cemetery?
You mean on Harrison?
No, the Oakwood, the old cemetery, where all the old ancestors, the old Penn Court, and the 915 apartments right there. That's where the Harlem Academy was. That's the thing, you know what I mean? So that's got a huge significance right there, you know, to where that historical aspect of it. So if you're talking about an area like that, I think that's great, you know what I mean? Because there was a really historical significance there. It's close enough, it's pointing there. Honestly, there's really nothing besides the cemetery and the highway between there, so it's not like you're really gonna be going anywhere and getting confused. So if there was an example like that, I think that would go over well. But if you're going on the other side of I-4, Mulholland Junction and all that, that's when it gets a little confusing because you're not gonna have a good linear walkway path to get from that side to the other side. You have to go all the way down and around, and that's when I think it'll be confusing. But if you have that straight shot, and again, if there's a cemetery, nothing hopefully is gonna be going in on there anytime soon, and a street again, and then a park, I think, again, I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying if that was proposed, I think that would go over.
I think part of it is what's on the sign. Like if it's all destinations that aren't in Central Park, but it's in that area, why would it be branded as Central Park?
Yeah, and that was one of the questions I was gonna ask too, is all of the signs, are they gonna have at least one destination within that Central Park? Well, at least one thing on that sign will be in Central Park?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, yes,
Okay.
to direct you to access.
Right, yeah, it wouldn't be Central Park pointing towards two downtown
Right, just 'cause
destinations.
If we were to approve it, we get more signs that just direct people to more Central Park assets, correct?
Right, and it can be added on, you know, FDOT requires us, the municipal code says that we have to have a maximum of 4 destinations. So,
Per sign.
yes, per sign, that's it.
To add
I'm
more
just-
confusion, how does this map overlap with the city's soul walk map?
That's actually one.
It's been a while since I've looked at this.
Me
this
too, I
level.
was like, is that's still going?
Oh, yeah.
I believe so. I know I did map it through East Tampa because we're working on East Tampa's signage as well. I did like a little bit of an overlay on that, but I didn't go too far south of the East Tampa, so I don't know how that's plotted out.
Somebody could check with Robin Nye, who could give you up-to-date data
Mhm.
on where that project is. I mean, it's a robust, ongoing, it's gonna take a while project.
Right.
But, I mean, then, just to make this job more difficult, you know, what is all of her things are all of her wayfinding signs and people walking from here to Zion Cemetery and how does all of that overlap? How many languages are we gonna be speaking on those signs?
That's a very big project in itself.
Right. It's a monster.
And I think another good example is too, like Jackson House, that's technically in Tampa downtown CRA, which is still mind-boggling. So to have a sign down close to the Jackson House, now that's, you know, if you've seen something's going on over there, you know what I mean? That's not New Wood, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know, I text Gloria right away, I said, what, that's going on? But, you know, something down
10 years
there
later, something
would be
going on.
great because that has such a historical significance to the area as well. So like I said, if you're going towards something there, I think I would think that would be okay, would go over well with the community. But if you start really getting in, because then you're gonna go, you know, under the overpass and then you're in Channel Side. And if you have something in Central Park over there, then you gotta go under the overpass and there's not a clear path of like, oh, we're gonna go there. So like I said, I think that's about the boundaries, the best for the boundaries for going outside of our lines.
Can I ask about the signs? Are they a fixed size? Are all the signs going to be the same size, or are you customizing to?
The beacon and directional will technically be the same size, so they can be expandable if you've got, you know, 2 locations to start, you know, so we do accommodate for all of that. Our maximum size, I think, is 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall for a sheet. So I think they're all roughly the same size. We don't really adjust for, something that has one destination.
So since the neighborhood's growing and everything, there'll probably be space to
Yes,
add
absolutely.
destinations.
Right,
So-
and I mean, the goal really is to make sure that we are, making it, a little bit easier for the sign shop to be able to accommodate or a name change or anything like that, so.
Okay.
Who is responsible for the signs like the redo on the scrub sign outside the building here?
Historic preservation, archives.
Okay, I just noticed that when they put it up, I guess now for the third time, but perhaps that may be a little one. I think when I was coming down Scott the other day, I noticed that the physical sign actually parallels the street. So if you're driving or actually walking, it's perpendicular?
No, you're not seeing it when you're driving?
No, in other words, it's the sign, if this was Scott Street, it's
Yeah.
parallel sign. In other words, if it's like that, you would see it,
Right.
but since it's parallel with the street, you don't really see it.
Now, is it meant for a vehicular?
I have no clue.
No, those should be perpendicular, not parallel.
Yeah.
So I'll have
I think
to,
somebody
I'll
just
reach out
was in a hurry,
because
so-
they're meant for pedestrian, I see them all the time in Ybor.
Sure.
Because you look up,
Yeah,
you know,
technically, even if you were
look
walking,
outside the road and then.
Right.
if you were walking down the sidewalk,
I'll
you
mention
would
it's Jennifer.
I think if I looked at it correctly, so now I'm gonna have to check that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, or two.
Tonight, just to make sure it wasn't very early in the morning going for something.
Yeah.
But I thought that's what I saw a couple of days ago, and I'm like, okay, nobody's gonna see that. So, but it's nice that it's up. For the second or third.
It's almost there.
Will they have any other kind of marketing or branding stuff? And I know this is like random, but like, like decals or stickers or anything that can help promote,
Central Park.
with your branding like that?
It's already started to be implemented in certain places, some flower pots, I think, I've seen some in
Partnership, so sorry.
Yeah, the partnership
The
has-
partnership's starting to already do their
Are they?
neighborhood branding. Mhm.
Okay.
If you
Yeah.
go down
Trashing.
into downtown, you'll see, trash cans, planters,
With the downtown,
the
The
bike,
branding, the specific.
The
not
bike-
a partnership branding, the downtown CRA branding.
No,
like
this
Central,
is.
Central Park.
Central
Yeah,
Park.
downtown
this
core,
branding.
that
That
branding is
Downtown core, okay,
starting to be
Gotcha.
implemented into the environment.
awesome.
Is it owned by the downtown partnership or can like businesses put this on there?
I think that's a conversation.
Yeah, I think they're happy to, the more help,
Exposure.
yeah, they.
That's what I'm
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that, I believe that they started a mural program to start getting that out as well, if you guys want on.
Because I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
at one of the Johnson Brothers houses, that could be some sort of, gift shop or something along those lines, having, like you said, like a flower pot or a mug or something, like
Right.
somebody's coming to visit and they're going back and taking something with them to have that. That's what I was just curious of.
Right, like a historic designation flag, or, like I used to live in historic Kenwood and St. and, any of the neighbors could buy a flag to hang on their front porch.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's part of their goal is
Okay.
to really kind of start pushing that stuff out.
Gotcha.
But it's not 100% out there yet, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
seeing and hearing.
And anything, like I'm saying, just little things like that we could do, you know what I mean? Put a
Yeah.
sticker on a computer and somebody's like, oh,
Absolutely.
wait, where is that?
Yeah, I think the
T-shirts
partnership wants
and
that, yeah,
stuff.
they're not like this is mine, I
Yeah.
think they really
On
wanna
and on.
push it out there, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's great.
And I think that'll help kind of distinguish that difference between the Central Park and Encore. If people start seeing that out in their environment, then that starts to change the look of the pride and historic aspect of it as well,
Well, yeah, just, the signs in the neighborhood when you're there, it's gonna start sinking in.
Yeah,
It doesn't say Central Park in very many places.
right, it's more of a place-making effort, so. We
Nice
definitely
job.
want the neighborhoods to be proud of who they are and where they've come from, and so people know where they are and, where they can come back to.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, on top of the fact that, you know, this signage really, you know, displays the assets that you guys have. You know, we want people to know that there's you know, a Black History Museum coming. We want people to know, you know, about the skate park or Harvey Park, you know.
Yeah.
It's really, it's important to get it up there because, you know, when you pull into a neighborhood, you don't have signage like that. You're really, okay, it's a great little neighborhood, but we don't know what's here. You know, so I'm not a native, and I've learned so much just from these projects because there is a lot of great stuff. So
I was gonna ask, can you remind me or repeat the roads where you thought that the Central Park signs would make sense to go without going too far
Send an
into
email to you.
downtown?
An email to you?
Yeah,
that would be cool, yeah.
yeah, okay.
And then I was gonna ask on kind of a side thing, what is that thing that's in Harvey Park, that big dome
Bucks
shelter?
branded.
What is that?
It
That Bucks branded big, you know what I'm talking about?
just looks like it was
Big-
like an event or something.
Yeah,
but
but
it's been there for a
months.
while. Yeah.
It's like a big,
It's like a big shade event, it's huge.
I just saw
Put it
people
in a
on
park.
it when I'm
Yeah.
walking in.
it's like a half,
It goes
But-
shade pavilion type.
yeah.
Yeah, like a huge,
I have to
and
look.
I heard, and I don't have a clue who told me, but I heard that it was a temporary kind of thing.
No.
They're gonna be there for, the implication was it was only gonna be there for some number of months.
Sounds like a nice summer thing.
They
Yeah.
did have we just donated stuff to it. They did like a back to school event at Perry Harvey with like food trucks and stuff like that. And then they gave out backpacks and stuff, but that was only at the beginning of school. I think
Mhm.
that's been there for like 2 months.
It's been there for quite a while, that's like, you need to ask, I'm like, is that, I'm thinking it's gonna go away. I don't want it to, but I'm just thinking it is. But now,
Yeah.
for our next meeting, it's like, I gotta remember.
Well, I know the Parks Department is planning on looking again at the band shelter, having one
That'd
installed
be
at
nice
Perry Harbor Park.
overdue,
Maybe
but
this is
nice.
a tryout?
As a matter of fact, if they took this thing, whatever it is, and moved it, it would make a great band shelter.
Yeah.
No,
So
seriously.
Parks is going to fund the construction of the band shelter. And that was, you know, late Gwendolyn Henderson, that was one of her goals, was to get the band shelter in Perry Harvey Park. So Parks will be funding that.
That's great. That'd be nice.
So I don't know about the structure. I'll have to-
Yeah, it's right, when you're coming off the ramp, when you're coming off the interstate, and you come down the Scott Street exit, and of course you come in front of Burger King, welcome to Tampa. You come in front of-
Get a Whopper.
When the street jogs just a tiny bit,
Right,
Mhm.
when
Yeah,
it
that-
jogs a little bit to the
that's
left.
chicane there, that's to
Yeah.
slow people down, because when we first did that street there, people would come down off of the interstate on Scott Street like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And so to slow down people, and we started to develop Encore, we worked with whoever we worked with, FDOT or somebody, to put that little chicane in there. And you'd be surprised to this day how many people tear up.
Nail it,
Oh,
There was,
oh, you should
how
go
long, how
down.
long ago was that Benz, that Mercedes sedan that
Yeah, it's been
Total-
over 3 years here.
that missed, was late on a Friday or Saturday night? The driver was significantly impaired, driving an incredibly expensive Mercedes sedan, and totaled it right there.
right into it.
Do we have so we still have to do commercial grants tracking, or no?
it's just, I don't need to talk about it, it's in your,
Yeah, can you just jump on that real quick, just like we.
if I can read that.
That's what I was gonna say, 'cause we've seen it for months, but we've never been able to really read it.
This is.
So what is it?
You us.
Oh, this is,
Me
this,
or?
no,
No, okay, I'm gonna say goodbye.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm calling you out.
But
You
yeah, absolutely.
guys have any other questions?
No, I think it's great.
Sorry about the delay, but
Good.
we didn't have internet for a little while.
No, we're happy to
so
have you.
we're
Will there
turning
be
over.
a follow-up about where the sign will go specifically?
yeah, we have another scheduled meeting.
Yeah, we, when we initially did the first phase, you know, Encore was not, that was kind of still in kind of a gray area. So we do have some signage, but since this whole multi-district has been elevated back to an important topic, we're gonna be going back over and really looking at locations and going back and even when some of this stuff over here wasn't developed at the time. So, So we're taking a deep dive into that. Actually, we're gonna start that tomorrow and, the next week.
Cool.
Then before you go, Aaron, Courtney, are there any formal motions or recommendations that need to be made while Aaron is here? I'm not sure if we needed to, I don't think that the CAC had ever given like a formal green light of the design as presented. So I think that this is the first time that you're seeing this color scheme and the branding. I know that we're still a little bit iffy on
We'd seen it.
on some of the, okay.
Yeah, we had seen it when we were still meeting downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Okay.
did show. There was more
Okay.
conflict in some, but we got it all ironed
Yeah,
out at that point.
Because we were
So-
wondering, remember, we were talking about doing the purple versus the central part of the kind of.
yeah, all those
color.
motions happened
Okay, so we're all good.
before we
Yeah,
went to the
okay,
CRA
cool.
board that made the final motion. Yeah, so far we're good. This was more of, and today was just more of,
Okay.
getting your opinions on things,
Gotcha.
feedback and input,
Yeah.
and then they'll come back to you again.
Cool, thanks so
All
much,
right.
appreciate you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah, you don't have to go through this detail by detail, I'm just curious, Courtney, because like I said, we keep seeing it, and I'm like, I think, what the hell are we looking at?
I was just trying to read it. I'm like,
Nice seeing
See
everybody.
you guys.
all right, thank you so
So
much.
this is just,
Thank you.
these are people who have applied for grants?
These are, so in the one column, you'll see if it's a lead or if it's inactive.
So is there anything that we should be monitoring, I guess that's all I'm.
No.
Is there anything that we're gonna be voting on, is there anything that we need
I have
to?
nothing that I'm bringing forward at this time.
So nobody's asking for money, basically, nobody's asking for a grant.
Well, we do have applicants. I mean, I don't know where Beecham Farm is in the process, but,
Yeah, we're trying to ask for money, but we have to get our lease stuff straightened out before.
You have your lease stuff,
yeah.
okay, gotcha,
And so ahead of time, the grants team always gives me a good heads up of when a request is officially gonna come here to be
Tampa
presented.
Park Apartment's inactive, so that's null and void.
Mhm.
Okay, lead is Meacham, so Meacham's working on their lease. Paradise Baptist Church lead, what's going on with that?
Still working on it. They
Okay.
have things that they have to do with other city departments.
Housing Authority in the city of Tampa, what's this? 1248, that's Johnson Brothers houses.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of still getting your
Yeah,
Yeah, we actually, since when we went from residential to
To commercial,
commercial,
yeah, you do
we're all the way back
requirements.
at the beginning again.
Yep.
So we're in that process somewhere. I'll have the project manager on that fall.
Gotcha.
But that's where we are.
Tampa Park Apartments Inc., so what's the, between Tampa Park Apartments Inc. on the top, it's inactive, and Tampa Park Apartments Inc. now, that is a lead.
yeah, and that's it. We met with them. It was more for, I think we're under their range of what they would want.
Okay. And so there's three of those out there, three Tampa Park Apartments,
Because
so all three
there
of
were
them.
three, we met with them, there were three, like the plaza,
Uh-huh,
over here, the apartments that are being torn down. So
Okay.
there were like three areas that they were looking for funding, and with Central Park's small amount of money,
so
We're
how are we gonna put because it looks like two of them are inactive and one of them's a lead, can we just get that to be inactive? Or are we
it
still
should be
waiting?
in that.
Okay, it should be inactive, okay. And then LB&D inactive, Housing Authority inactive, okay, so what's the last lead? What does that say, something, comedy? What the hell does that keep saying?
And that one,
Commodore Comedy, what's that?
I don't know about, I actually saw that, and it must be new.
That was also on 7. Is that even?
Seventh, yeah, it goes through, it comes back up,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I'm gonna see what that is real quick. And then- Do you guys have any questions or anything for Courtney?
We can look it up.
Oh, just like what the process would be, so for example, he's coming forward, it's probably one of the first things I would be voting on. We will get the presentation and the request and all that, similar to how when, the realty group came for that request.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
the same thing, that's the same kind of grant.
Yeah, it's like a 3 to 5 minute, they're gonna just, give us the scope of what it is that they're asking the funding for, and then the CAC has to, support, not support, and then that information goes to the CRA.
I was gonna say, because even now, it's just our recommendation.
It's just,
It's-
yeah,
We're just the gatekeeper to get it to the CRA.
Yeah.
essentially.
yep,
So we were
exactly.
voting
It
no, but
has-
even then, they can still go to CRA, just our recommendation, be yes or no.
Well, it has to come here first.
Has to come
It has to
here.
come to the CAC.
Is that income?
before it was the
But does
CRA.
it have to get approved, you go to the CRA, or it just has to come here?
Just has to come
It
here.
does come here.
You can say, no, we don't like it, and it'll still go to the CRA.
Yep, that's, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right on the corner
By
of
the
Nebraska.
courthouse.
Right next to
Yeah.
Pasadena.
Okay, so that one is still kind of in the works, the comedy club thing, or no?
Yeah, I just saw that one.
Who's gonna be the best person to kind of update us on that then?
But I got to tell Dee,
Dee?
yeah. Dee Reed, what do you think?
Who kind of can, 'cause there were some that were inactive that should, or some that are
Yeah, Dee
lead should be
Reed.
active.
She and her team, the commercial grants, CRA staff, so I have to go back to.
And so do we have any money left on, and anything for grants for anybody that would want to
Mhm.
approach?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
money there,
Okay, so like if we can just clean this up,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So
It's
then
like
we
a first
can-
come, first serve.
Yeah.
Maybe when it reprinted, if it could be any
Oh, honey.
smaller, that'd be
Honey,
great.
it's always been that small, it was on one page
It's
last
an
time.
internal joke, okay?
Yeah.
I put it on 11 by 17.
Yeah.
I got my glasses on.
I'm trying,
Perfect.
we're trying.
Do y'all have anything that you want to kind of work on or get the staff to work on for, we don't have a meeting next month because of the FRA, so we'll be back in November, correct?
Yeah, correct, no
So-
October meeting, no.
Right, so anything in that, because it's gonna be a long time, obviously we can always email her, but just anything question-wise or observations you guys have made or anything like that?
Yeah, we kind of moved down here with the idea of maybe doing little field trips to places in the neighborhood. I'd still love to see the inside of that theater building. I don't know.
Oh, housing authority?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the one that's, you know,
You're suggesting?
eventually.
The one in Encore, the one in the
Correct.
Tempo building?
Yeah, you gotta keep.
There's not much to say.
But I think that's kind of cool to see because you get to see like, it's got like what's not mezzanine, like a little balcony kind of thing, you know, at top where you could sit and then watch the show. I think I got, when Lewis and I met a couple years ago, I got a lot out of that because I got to show
If
how
we
big
were
the
like-
spaces are.
Yeah, if we were like going there, we could walk down there all at the same time, not tonight because I don't have a key.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
We could get together with Lewis or
that's
something like that.
that's not a big to do. No, just have a little rental
Yeah,
reads
maybe
out
whoever
here.
wants to see it can just.
I think, yeah, that was, I really got a lot of that.
I mean, I thought that was,
And we've
talked about that
got,
when we
we've
talked about
got
moving
an
down here
operator
to,
selected.
Yeah.
to see
You
things
do.
in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
hear that?
That'd be
What's
sorry
that?
to hear about.
So
Say it again.
we have an operator selected for that.
Cool.
Really?
Yeah, let me make sure all the
That's great.
contracts are hard. So
All right, so we'll go and adjourn this meeting.
Yes.
Everybody's good? Okay, perfect.
Thank
Did you
you.
sleep in this morning?
was that?
Did you sleep in this morning?
Oh, no, I had a
I was
meeting.
all over.
Everybody
Everybody else was there.
Right? I had a meeting with Robin.